Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of Not Quite Strangers. My name is Valerie Hope, and this podcast is to inspire curiosity, build connection, and also shake up how strangers interact. I'm a leadership coach as well as a speaker, but one of my favorite things to do is have these conversations with, in some cases, random people, but our people are not random today. Actually, my guests are incredibly meaningful guests because I grew up with you guys, basically, or at least in the earlier part of my adulthood. I have two wonderful people that I invited today who, when I first moved to Dallas back in 2001, I started to work at the Dallas, I think we call it the Greater Dallas Chamber then, right? That's what it was. And now I think it's the Dallas Regional Chamber. So I'm going to keep calling it the Greater Dallas Chamber just because that's the name that we had when we were there. But I want to start off by introducing Lucinda, or as anyone that has known her besides us calls her, Cindy. I can't call you Cindy. I think Lucinda is the name that I grew up with. So that's the one that I
love that. I prefer
okay.
it. I prefer it.
Good. All right. So Lucinda Kisor Summerlin. And Lucinda, I remember you because I'll just highlight one thing that I remember about you, and then we can always obviously go into a lot more. But one of the things, you were like our big sister. That was my impression of you at the chamber, that you were the one who gave great advice. We would always go in there and sit for hours. Poor Patty couldn't get us to work sometimes because we were like, Lucinda, can you talk? What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? We'd have all these philosophical conversations about life and relationships and houses and all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
And one in particular, I remember a time when I was looking for a therapist, because I was thinking of getting married and I was having some challenges there. And you gave me the best advice that I, to this day, give everybody. And that's to interview your therapist. So you had me like, find 3 people that fit into your insurance plan, call them up and see what you think. And I'd never, ever thought about interacting with medical professionals that way until you recommended it. And to this day, I tell everybody to do the same. Go interview the people that you're going to spend your time and your money and be, have intimate conversations with. But so thank you, thank you, thank you.
That was good advice. That's still true.
I know, such wisdom. Look at that.
Yes.
Big sister Lucinda.
Yes. I'm glad you didn't say mother.
No.
You know what? I'm just kidding. But I did feel a little like it was big sistery, but I also felt mothering too. But I guess Patty was our mother.
Yeah, Patty's mom.
Yeah. I was the big sister.
Yeah, exactly. And then Whitney, enter Whitney. Oh my gosh. And Whitney Williams is how we knew you back in the day. Now Whitney Strauss. I know. And Whitney, you were like little sister.
Yeah.
I remember how much fun and passion and joy you brought to our little corner of the chamber when you would talk about your dancing and all the auditions that you were going to. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and I know her. That's the memory I have of you. And then also all of our dating conversations. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. And, you're happily married, so we don't have to talk about any of the past, but I loved how much exuberance you brought to our little team. Always so playful and innocent at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like little sister Whitney, always so caring, making sure everybody was okay. So that's one of the things I love and appreciate so much about you. So I'm so thrilled that both of you, and I don't feel emotional right now, that both of you said, yes, let's meet, let's get together, because it's been like 20 years. And I still feel that affinity and that pull to connect with you guys. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh. Why did you guys come? Besides the fact that I invited you to do it, why did you say yes to doing this in such a public way?
I would say yes anytime to have a meaningful conversation with the two of you again. I mean, this is so lovely, and it feels like it was just yesterday, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were sitting in my office and y'all were sitting right there. Did we always meet in my office? I feel like it was a lot.
Mostly. You were like holding court.
did. I totally did. Sorry, Patty.
Because if we were coming down the hallway, you could see into my office. So yours was a little more, we could go in there and congregate. No one
Right?
necessarily. I think I feel the same. I mean, that was, you all are such an important part of my life, even though, I mean, we haven't seen each other in so long. Just that time was so special and meaningful because we were all in kind of that same phase of life together and figuring it out, and just to have that support and the experience of working with just incredible people at that moment of my life. I know that's so, of course I would say yes, because it's just like revisiting this wonderful time, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but
I know.
that came from that period that really changed the course of my life too. So
Yeah.
of course.
Man, well, thank you. I don't take this for granted. And, like I shared earlier, this is an opportunity for us to catch up. And for those who are listening and watching, hopefully inspire them to reach out to someone that's made a significant contribution to their lives. So with that said, let's just at least level set, like, where are we now? What are you up to? Whoever wants to start, go. And whatever you want to share.
I'll go first. I'm living in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's where I was born and raised. And currently I'm doing like social media and graphic design and being a mom to a 12-year-old boy. So that's kind of where I am now. Back to, where I came from. And I love it, but I do miss Dallas a lot because I was only in Dallas for 4 years, but it seemed like it was such a huge part of my life. I know.
4 years.
It was from 2000 to 2004.
Okay.
So kind of the end of 2004. So, but just so much packed in there. So that's kind of where I am.
Okay.
A lot of package those years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to come back to that in a second, but Whitney, what about you? Give us the headlines. What are you up to now these days?
So I'm in Dallas. I work for SunWest Communications. So I'm senior counsel of CSR and philanthropic services. So I work on clients from foundations to corporate social responsibility to nonprofit, but really kind of social impact all the way around, and helping to kind of find those platforms or how to give back or strategic planning, so all of those things. And I love it. Every day is very different. So I met my husband through the chamber, and we have been married for 18 years. I know. And I'm a mom of 2 boys, and they keep me busy. One's 17 and one is 12. So they're doing all the things. And then I over volunteer, but y'all knew that I did that. No surprise. No surprise. I over volunteer, and then I'm just started my dissertation for my doctorate degree. So that's been like a lifelong goal that I'm almost finished. So I see the finish line. So that's what I'm up to.
Oh my gosh.
You had like a direct, like from where you were when we were at the chamber, it's just like the same, more of the same, but bigger and bigger, it sounds like.
Just like all that was really the trajectory, was everything that I got exposed to at the chamber, and meeting Rob at the chamber. So, and just that energy to get involved. So it started everything.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That is fascinating. So when I started at the chamber, I had just left Up With People. So I'd spent 5 years right out of college, traveling the world, and coming to Dallas was like a big, okay, now I'm like settled and grown up. And I remember getting my first apartment, my first car, like all my first. You guys were a part of all that. After the chamber, I left to work for Hyatt, which was a connection that was made through the chamber as well. And I spent 14 years with Hyatt, actually moving from working in local hotels to corporate. And then 2017, a big reorganization, they eliminated my department. And the mentors in my life started nudging me like, go do your own thing, go do your own thing. And I'm like, no, why? I don't know how. And so I like, okay, took a leap of faith and I started my own business where I focus on leadership coaching and professional speaking and facilitation. And I've been doing it for almost 5 years and I love it. I love it. I do the things that I do best in ways that are fulfilling for me. You guys saw me go through a marriage. I don't know if I married when I was in the chamber. Yeah, I did. I don't think anybody knew I got married. That was like a whole thing.
Yeah, it was.
Like, whether you're
Get married.
Yeah. You're like, what?
what?
We know you so well.
Yeah.
And then it was like, what is happening? Yeah.
Wasn't it literally going to City Hall on your lunch break? Okay, yes. What did you do today, Valerie? Well, I went downstairs to Chick-fil-A, but Valerie went up here. Wow.
Family knew, but anyways, yeah, it was yeah. Anyway, we can talk about that if we want.
It was when you bought your car.
I did all the adulting. All
Yes.
the adulting happened at the chamber. You came with me when I bought my car, didn't you?
And
That's
I
great.
learned on that process and how much research you did and your checklist. We walked the cars, and that really taught me. That gave me the confidence when I went to buy my own car for the first time of this is how you do it. Because you went in this is
What kind of car did you get?
It was a Mitsubishi Galant. It was a used car. And so
Yep.
I remember.
Yeah, we pushed on it. We opened the door, opened the hood, and I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but we're gonna pretend. I'm gonna pretend to
On
be
the list, I didn't.
When y'all were doing this, I was like, oh no, did it like bounce or something after you bought it? No, you're saying you bounced in it.
I wanted to check the tires or something. So
Yes.
like to make sure that nothing fell off the car or whatever. I don't know. It was a list, some checklist I found that do all this stuff when you have a new
Yes.
car that's used. Oh my goodness. All right. So now that we've done, and we can always drill into any of these aspects, but I want to come back to something, Lucinda, you said, but you were there for 4 years. I mean, all of us there. I think I worked at the chamber 3 years. I mean, it was a super short period of time. Somehow everything coalesced so that we would have this beautiful experience. Patty Clapp, by the way, our fearless leader, was our boss. So maybe we just talk about Patty first. Like, what was it about working with Patty in that time that made such an impact? Because I think that also informed a little bit of the culture that we built. What do you guys remember about Patty?
Patty she was so great about hiring people. Like, I did have some experience. I did. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't have experience for her. And the thing I loved about her was that she would let us, she was there, she coached us, and then she wanted us to do it. Like she was such an encourager and a coach as opposed to a micromanager. Mm-hmm. She was just so great about, and the way in when she would correct me on things, like at the beginning, it was almost by doing instead of by telling. Like, okay, so I think I started as manager of leadership development. And I remember my first Leadership Dallas day, like I was in charge of just doing like the food too, like I had to order the catering. Mm-hmm. And I needed to be the one to make sure like everything was there. Like if there needed to be refills or something needed to be done or trash needed to be picked up, that was a part of my job. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think I really knew that. And like, I was listening to the speakers and then she went back there and like cleaned up and I was like, oh, that's my job. Just that was like first day, the job was so much more than that. But I remember like, that's how I learned what that was.
Yeah.
She was just so good about, and she was such an inspiring figure in Dallas and building relationships and working toward a common goal with people with very different political views and backgrounds and all that. Remember how she could just, I mean, yeah.
And she's tiny. She was like pocket sized.
Yes.
I think I actually made that comment. I'm like, I'm taking it and put it in my pocket. She was so but powerful. Oh, you're so
powerful.
so right.
Yes.
So powerful, influential. Whitney, what about you? What do you remember, or what stuck out to you about Patty?
I think she definitely knew how to hire. And it wasn't necessarily because of what was on, I know my resume at the time was, a blip, an internship. So it wasn't, it wasn't this, this resume that I came in with all of this experience around education policy or event planning or none of that. But it was just that she could see the potential in all of us, and that we had that willingness to learn and to work hard and to be collaborative. And she hired so well, but then I always felt that she really believed in me and she believed in us.
Mm-hmm.
And even if we made a mistake or anything like that, that she would support us because she wanted us to succeed. She kind of saw that in all of us. So I always felt this, even when I wasn't, but this confidence in, like, okay, I know this is a huge role and I've never planned a luncheon for 500 people before. I mean, I just think back to some of the responsibilities that we were all given, like right off the bat. And we just, it's that spirit of we're going to figure it out and rely on each other. And she really reinforced that. I still say I learned so much about leadership from her, watching her example, just who she was, what a powerful figure she was in the community, but she was just herself all the time. And she managed to be respected, but beloved at the same time.
Yeah.
I think it can be tough. And she gave me such great lessons that when I remember this, so because I still use this more for myself and for others, that I was planning the back to school fair, our booth at the back to school fair. And we passed out books.
Yes.
And I ran into this issue where, I don't know, I've asked this person, and we're not getting books. And she said, okay, well then what's the next step? I said, well, I don't know. She said, you have to keep working through to the solution. That just keep working through to the solution. She said, don't just kind of go like this. And I emailed this person, and that's all I'm going to do. She said, just keep working through to the solution. So it's something that I think we all did. And it's definitely something that's taken me into my life, my career is that spirit, but then that we're going to work hard. We're going to roll up our sleeves and do what needs to get done. And that was all her example. Yeah.
And so she said, work through to the solution, and
got frustrated with me.
Oh, but she didn't.
I mean, as much as Patty did, but she just said,
right.
What's your next step?
Right. And so she wasn't telling you the next step. She was getting you to, she wanted you to.
Wanted me to, yes.
That's a good lesson.
Instead of doing that.
Yep.
Not do this, do this, do this. She wanted you to problem solve.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's huge.
The other thing about Patty was that she never raised her voice.
No.
She spoke quietly and you listened.
Yeah.
Like, how is that? I mean,
she's amazing.
She is.
I remember, so when I came in, I was, mid-20s, and I traveled to like 15 countries, and I'd done all kinds of stuff. And I thought, okay, the job that was available was an admin assistant job, which I was like, I don't know if this is the job that I want, but I need a job, right? And so when she interviewed me, and she did tell me, I remember in our interview, she said, I think the job is too small for what you have and what you know, but I think Erin, I don't know if you remember, Erin at the time was pregnant, and she said she'll be leaving when she has her child, and I can see, maybe in another I think it was 6 or 7 months or something, you can take over that job, management, workforce development. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. But man, that was the humbling job. I was making copies and coffee, like, and I had a little ego. I was just like, my brothers used to make fun of me, like, how many copies did you make today, Valerie? Just to feed people with coffee. Did you cut up some coffee cake? They loved teasing me about stuff like that. But I remember distinctly, we'd have like CEOs from some of the largest organizations in Dallas come into the chamber. Everybody, like you said, respected and loved Patty. And to see Patty work a room, and she's picking up coffee cups, and she taught me how to make decaf and how to make regular coffee, and totally rolled up her sleeves and showed me the way. And when I saw that, wow, my boss does this, I absolutely, right. Just like you said, Lucinda, when she was cleaning up the stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why do I have an attitude about this? My college degree and then travel and all that stuff is nothing if you can't serve. And I think servant leadership is what I got from Patty. Just the ability to, and it's not like I'm so humble. Patty knew she had influence, and she knew that she had sway, or does. I imagine she still does. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but I think what she did so masterfully is engage people, and she loved people. She just loved people to greatness. I think she loved all of us to greatness. That's why she was kind of like this motherly figure for us. But yeah, those were some moments where I was like, get over yourself, Valerie. I'm like, I don't even drink coffee. Like, do I have to make it if I don't drink it? I was a millennial back then. I was like Gen Z. No, I don't.
You were a millennial before there were millennials.
Before there were millennials. No, I was just being Valerie, but it was, yeah, I love that. I love that about her. And then the connections that we made and how she would speak to people. That was the other piece, because she did empower us. Whitney, she empowered us with a lot of trust to talk to. Like, I remember having to call the CEO at the time, Medical City, and because something happened in a meeting, and I was supposed to, Patty asked me to follow up, and I'm like talk to him directly. And yes, she would just like, yeah, I need you to follow up with him. I need you to follow up with her. And can you get, the congressperson is coming to can you make sure that the congressperson knows what to do and where to, and I was just like, you want me to do that? But yeah, she empowered and trusted all of us. And so she made great hiring decisions, obviously, because look at this, to this day,
right?
We still have such positive things to say. So let's talk about the crew, our little group. Why do you think, besides the fact that Patty was such a loved and respected leader and servant leader to all of us, what was it about us in that time, in that very short amount of time, that had us connect so deeply? What do you guys think?
I think we were working for a nonprofit. You were with Up With People. It was like we all have nonprofit backgrounds.
Yeah.
And that's a certain type of person, like somebody who wants to make a difference, so she brought all those people together. And so we were like these really caring people with some depth, I'm an introvert, but I also just really love like deep conversations. And I don't know, and at the time in our lives, even though I was, I'm older than you guys, I don't know, that was a bit, I grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and never left. Like, I went to the U of A, and I turned 30, and I was like, I got to spread my wings. I got to go somewhere. And I went to a big city, I went to Dallas, the big city. And so I was older than y'all, but we were all spreading our wings in different ways, and so much to learn. And I don't know, I really loved connecting with y'all. What do y'all think? Why do y'all think we connected so deeply?
I think it was the time in our lives, but I also think it's just the spirit of the people. Because if we hadn't come in with this, we're all in this together, I want to connect, and I want this to be a good experience. I want to support my teammates. I mean, there was definitely this team
You're right.
dynamic that was so powerful. Such a supportive environment. So I think it was the mix of this flux time in our life. And I was 21 when I started at the chamber. I was a baby. I graduated in 2000. I had the internship until the end of 2000 December, and then I joined January of 2021. I mean, I was a child, and so it was, figuring this out in this. I hadn't driven in Dallas before. I had my college truck. Remember that thing? I think it was this like time that we're working through all of these. Who am I going to be? And these and figuring it out together. It was really special. But then it was that spirit of we're supporting each other going through this huge role that we all had at this place that was so prominent in Dallas. And it was that team dynamic too that was so special as we're going through all of this. Great.
Well, you know what I think was so, I'm going to give you credit, Lucinda, because I think one, you're the elder statesman in the group, right? But your willingness to ask deeper questions and to share your ideas and your life with us, I think created that intimacy. You really, I think, nurtured it. Because we could have been all hands on deck and helped each other at an event and talked about, oh my gosh, you remember what happened at the book fair, or oh, this convention, this, or this leadership Dallas, that. We could have just talked about that. But I think what you did, Lucinda, was really get us to talk more about our lives. I remember like the big conversation I remember us having is whether or not you were going to take Mark's name. I remember. It was like huge. We were talking about, we were like women, out doing it for ourselves and like adulting, and here's like, oh my gosh, like, what about that? Do we take on the name? What does that mean? And like all these things. And Rob, I don't know, you're probably watching this, Rob, but we talked about you a lot too.
We did.
Tons. And how Whitney felt and what she thought and what was easy. And we won't divulge any of the content, but I think Lucinda, you asked those types of questions. You really encouraged us to share stuff. I know I didn't tell you guys I was getting married at lunchtime, but but the lead up to like, okay, I need some counseling. I need some, the fact we're talking about therapy, like who does that at work? So I want to credit you, Lucinda, for nurturing that intimacy.
I agree.
I think at that time I wanted to be a therapist. So maybe I practiced on y'all.
it just helped us, open up to a deeper level with each other, and also just trust. I mean, we talked about everything.
We really did.
We did. But that was that trust and security to be able to do that was really unique, I think. And Lucinda, you did definitely nurture that. Yes.
I did.
Easily, I think back on it now, it's that she could have easily have gotten super annoyed with me at that point in my life. Because I was just, going through all the things, but
you were in your early 20s.
I know.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember 9/11?
Yes.
I remember 9/11 with you, Valerie.
Yeah. What do you guys remember about that?
So I remember I was driving to work and I did not have the radio on. I was listening to a CD and coming up, and there was a TV playing in the economic development office, because one of the planes had already hit one of the towers. And we were watching it. And actually, I also remember a vice president coming in at the time and telling us to turn it off because it was distracting. I will not name names with that one. So anyway, so we're watching, and we were watching when the second plane hit. And then my memory after that is just this, people reacting. We had a colleague that was very upset, and she left to go home to get her kids, and And then you and I were I just remember you and I being left in the office going, what do we, I don't know how to react. I don't know what to do. And, and we started starting to gather random stuff. Like, should we take our computers home? And I just remember and kind of laughing about the absurdity of that, but it was just this very strange time. And then going downstairs, because our parking garage was across the street, and just the chaos on the streets, just of, what's happening and the uncertainty of, are there more planes in the air and all of that. And then just the very strange mourning period and just the pause that happened for all of us the next couple of days, waiting for airplanes to go back in the air and business to go back to normal, and just a very sad, strange time. So but I mean, that memory of being in the office and watching the second plane hit the second tower was huge. Something I'll never forget.
Well, some context, I think, for people who are listening. So we were in Reunion Tower, which was, I don't know how many stories high, right? One of the highest, one of the higher buildings in downtown Dallas. So that was one of the reasons too, that we were all like, oh my gosh, this is a skyscraper. Is this, an attack on all big cities? What's going on? So that was one. And then I think the other piece is the idea that, we didn't know if we were going to be coming back to the place. Is something going to happen next? I used humor to diffuse some of the tension that I was feeling. So I'm like, Patty, can I take my computer home? Do I need to bring it? Like all those kind of things. We were joking around a little bit, but just out of a sense of like, I don't know what to do. And I didn't have any family here at the time. So I remember I found out when I was driving into work, similar to you, and I was listening to a cassette. Just to give some context, listening to a cassette, because I still had one of those. And my brother called me. I remember getting my first cell phone. My brother called me and he's like, hey, are you watching the news? Are you listening to the news? And I'm like, no, what's up? And he told me about what happened. And I'm like, wow. So when I got to work and I went and saw the TV footage, everything started to hit home. But when we left, I didn't want to go home by myself. Like I felt really lonely and really scared. I ended up calling my best friend, Lily. You guys remember? And I drove up to Allen and just spent the whole day with her. And I was just like, I feel like I need to be around someone, my family, because I don't know what's happening. And that was like the whole day, just until I just couldn't watch anymore. But that's a big memory.
I was late that day. And so I remember being in my apartment, and then I didn't go in because I was, we were scared. So was Patty was already there. So what was Patty? What was she? How did she react? What was she?
I don't remember specifics other than I know she told us we should go home. I think she was, very calm, very thoughtful. I don't remember anything crazy happening, or people panicking or anything like that. But I do think Patty just said, okay, yeah, let's just go home and we'll stay in touch and see what happens the next couple of days. And I think having the building so close to Love Field.
Yes.
Because we saw planes constantly because of that proximity to the airports. I think all those things were kind of in the mix.
Yeah, it was a really strange time to be working in downtown Dallas in one of the tall buildings.
Yeah. I don't know why I brought that one up, but that was that was like
that was a big memory while we were there.
Huge. Yeah. Right.
Interesting. So I want to lighten it up a little bit. come back to talking about the other cast of characters. So in our time, so the three of us worked together when we were in that particular place, Renaissance. I don't know whatever happened to Erin. I'm not sure when she left.
She's a teacher now, a science teacher. Yes. And I think it's junior high or high school. I think it's junior high.
It's junior high.
And so I'm friends with her on Facebook. So I've kind of watched her, she has 4 children, maybe 4. Yeah. Anyway, I love her attitude about teaching her kids. Like she likes that age, that awkward age, and talking about, the way she talks about her students, she's just this lovely, lovely person.
I'll
Yeah.
have to look her. She's the one that helped me find an apartment. She taught me like what to look for, all that good stuff. So that she made a huge difference. And then I remember Megan came and Stephanie, and we had Becky. I don't know. There's
Carrie,
so many.
Carrie. Yeah.
Carrie. I'm
Carrie,
still friends with Carrie.
John.
Yes.
John, yes.
Who else?
Amanda Oneacre, I remember her. She's
Amanda.
personality.
I was trying to think of all of Patty's kids.
Oh, right. All Patty's kids.
Our intern,
Stephanie. Did you say Stephanie?
Stephanie.
You said her. Okay.
who is our intern that worked with you, Valerie? That she was young. She was a young mom.
Intern.
Anyway, yeah. Well, her sister. Anyway.
I gotta tell you though, I don't know if you guys remember this. Were you there when Becky started working with us? Lucinda, were you there? Remember that?
I don't remember Becky.
No. Becky took over education. Were you there?
Well, no, if she took over
And
education,
Julie.
I was.
Okay, you were gone then.
I was already gone.
Okay, and Julie came in and took over Leadership Dallas, and then all right. But it's interesting because that same culture, I think, was Patty. Really, it was Patty. She just would bring in people that just fit. Like to this day, I remember all the people. I may not see them, but it's like, oh yeah, that person and this person.
Mhm.
I'm curious about, so some of our conversations obviously were fairly personal conversations. I wonder what do you remember? What are some of your favorite conversations or topics that we discussed during that time, and what impact did that make? I shared about the therapy thing. That was one for me.
It's big.
Any others that y'all remember?
Really good relationship advice.
Like what? What was your best relationship advice, you think?
I think I'm gonna get well, really just to not, I mean, in general, it was to really evaluate what was really important to me, and not just kind of go with what everyone else expected was the right decision, but really to lean into what was best for me and my personality and where I wanted my life to go. And you all really helped make a decision with all of that, which now ended up with getting married to Rob. So I think it was just having that moment of, you know, that I was going to change, and to really take that time to almost to interview as to what was really important to me.
And that was huge because you converted.
We did.
This was like big life stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lot along with you when you were going through that process.
Yes.
I feel like.
What can you share? What can you share about that, Whitney, if you don't mind? About
I get asked a lot because it was such a huge life change too. You know, coming from South Lake to TCU to Dallas, and they're like, you met a man, now you're going to be Jewish, and what's going on?
And you were Catholic, right?
No.
So it was for me, I felt like I had always been searching for to feel more solid in my faith choice. So it was really my driving it. And I was also when we got serious, I was also I need to learn more about this because we grew up with a close family friend that was Jewish, but I really didn't know anything about the faith. So I really was just curious to learn more. And that's what started my journey. But once you make the decision, it takes about a year to complete. So, I mean, there's this intentionality to really make sure this is what you want to do and learn about the faith and traditions and experience all of that for a year before you actually go through the ceremony.
What year did you get married?
2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were here, right, Lucinda? Are you still here?
Yes, I was. So
you guys came to the wedding.
It was the fanciest wedding I've ever been to.
I
loved it.
It was a fun wedding.
Nasher, wasn't that the Nasher?
It was at the Bilo.
The Bilo, yeah. Yeah.
What's the Below? Remind me. I remember
Below
the
Mansion, the Below Mansion, right?
Oh yeah, I remember the dancing. It was fun.
That was
I
fun.
was like, that was my first black tie wedding. Like,
I
oh
think I still
wow.
have the dress that I wore to your wedding. I'm sure it doesn't fit anymore, but I feel like it's in a closet. And I remember what I wore. That was a good wedding.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Wedding.
huge.
That was fun.
Y'all came to my wedding too.
Yes,
Y'all
Did I
tri-
come?
You
Yeah,
did.
you did.
came to Fayetteville.
Rode with Rob and I.
No, you don't remember? It was
Yeah.
up. My parents had this big. It was in my parents' front yard. They had just moved to this house, and then like in the back, there was a tent, and that's where the
I remember you getting married. I don't remember the actual event. Like I don't remember the travel or any of that. But I love the conversations we had about Mark. Oh my gosh, those were my favorite.
like
This
what do you
rock
mean?
and roll
Right.
guitar
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
And he taught dance. Yes, it's like he's
Oh, yeah.
the
He's still cool. He's still cool.
so cool.
He's so cool.
And
And
I do.
y'all did a choreographed dance at your wedding, which I
We
thought
did.
was fabulous.
I don't know if it was probably, you know what we started doing after COVID? During COVID for exercise, we have a basement and we pulled the rug up and we've been like dancing for exercise. And it's so
What?
fun.
Y'all.
Oh, and whenever we do salsa, Valerie, I always think of you.
I think of you too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Y'all came to my 30th birthday party. Remember? We were at
Yes.
Deep Ellum, and I made everybody wear these little buttons.
I don't remember the button. What was the button?
It was just like a little smiley face button. So because I had like the randomest crew of friends that I invited, and for everybody to know who was with me, was basically. But I remember you and Mark dancing. I'm like, yeah, it was great. And I remember you invited us when he was playing for Seal, and you invited us to the concert. That's like my claim to fame. Like, oh, I gotta have a picture with Seal. We hung out backstage. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
I want to talk, Lucinda, though, about the name, because that was a huge conversation for us. Your willingness to change your maiden name to married name. So what can you share about that you remember?
Well, so now my name is Lucinda Kisor Summerlin. Yeah, I really struggled with, keeping my identity versus kind of joining his family and being more traditional. And really, I just, I don't know, like Mark's family is super musical and like very artsy. And I just decided that I wanted to be a Summerlin. I think really, what do y'all remember? I remember it was a big deal. Like I remember like going, we're two individuals and I'm not going to change my name. That's what I remember.
Yep.
But then I ended up changing it. And it really was kind of that. Like I just was like, I want to be a Summerlin. Plus it's a pretty name.
It is a pretty name.
It sounds very flippant, but we really did talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Were y'all surprised that I did change it? Because I was so like, no, I'm not changing my name.
I don't remember being surprised, but I think that conversation taught, and for both of you, making these huge transitions and transformations because of marriage, I think it taught me a lot about not taking myself seriously, one, because love was always at the root. I mean, when it finally came down to it, was like, what do I really love about this person? What do I love about my life? And I'm in a space right now with somebody that I'm kind of hanging out with, I'll say, and he and I've dated before, but we're rediscovering what that looks like and what that means. And there I noticed how seriously I take myself. And because, there's some criteria, for example, that are like, oh, I think this would, but now at this point in my life, I'm like, actually not that deep. My heart's, kind of like what you just said. It feels good. It feels like I'm honoring a part of myself that I think for so many years, this strong, independent, capable, self-sufficient woman message has been drilled into my psyche for so long that is also kind of tiresome. Like, you know what? I actually want to honor that my heart is speaking to me and my soul is asking just to lighten up. And you know what you just said, Summerlin, it sounds much better. It's not flippant, I get it, but it was almost like, let's just relax into the love that we feel for the person and the relationship. You know, although converting to Judaism is a huge deal, but again, let's settle into the love that we feel for this and the relationship, the respect and the honor of the two coming together. And that's something that I really learned because the two of you modeled it so beautifully. And the thoughtfulness about it. It wasn't just like, I don't want to, or I want to. It was more like, is this the right way to look at it? Is this the right way to think? And I still struggle. No, I'm not gonna lie, but I do find that now I'm just like, I'm just gonna exhale.
Yes.
And just go with whatever, not just what feels right, like feeling emotional, but what honors the spirit versus the instinct.
Don't you think some of that comes, well, a lot of it comes from your deep, connecting with yourself and evolving, but some of it is age. Don't you think that
Yes.
in your 40s, you're like, oh, this is who I am. I
I'm
can
good with
be, what'd you say, Whitney?
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. All right,
Don't worry.
20-year-old Whitney versus a 40-year. Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my gosh, I took myself so darn seriously back then.
Me
Life
too.
and death. And it's like, really?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Not that big of a deal. I know.
Right?
But I
I
do
mean,
think just on what you're saying about the spirit of it and love. And I mean, that really, when it boiled down to some of the decisions I made, just converting and even throughout our marriage, and it is just about that love and respect for the other person and the bigger picture to us, how that radiates to the boys too. So, and I know every family is different looking at if both parents are going to be Jewish or if one's Christian or one Jew, everyone's different with that. But for me, it was really important that we had a unified, we were unified there to spread that to our boys. So it wasn't, it becomes bigger than just kind of you. So, but yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I remember, Whitney, you always wanted to have the family, the picket fence. Like that was the vision, right? Lucinda, you were a little non-traditional when it came to that.
I was.
But you ended up kind of in a traditional.
I did. I totally did. But Mark and I, when we got married, we weren't going to have kids.
I remember.
I turned 39. I went, I changed my mind.
Really?
Yeah. I just like hormonally or something. Mark was, I think he said he was touring with Seal at the time. And he remembers like me calling him and going, I think I've changed my mind. I want to have a baby, and we were able to, which, that's pretty tough at 39. I didn't realize it was, but it's hard to have a baby at 40. So, or it's hard to,
conceive
physically. Yeah. But yeah, for some reason I changed my mind. I don't know, just starting to age. And then I was like, oh, anyway, it really changed our lives and we're so happy. I mean, I'm glad that he was on board with it too. I mean, he was like, wait a minute, what? We've been. I probably had, I think there were probably some discussions where it didn't even go quite there, but I was like, yeah. So
I remember us talking about not wanting, because I didn't, and I still don't. I never wanted my own children. I think I'd make a good mom, and I was like, oh, my husband has children from a previous marriage. I'd be a great, wonderful mom, but I don't want to have them. And I still feel that way. But I do recall feeling, I don't know if justified it's not the right word, but like, I'm not the only one. Okay, cool. It's not, right. I was surrounded by a lot, in the chamber, especially so many maternal figures, so many women. And that was not usually the path children. And well, Erin was pregnant when we came in. So there was a lot of baby talk. There was a lot of children talk. And I was just like, I don't really feel like that's the path for me. And I, to this day, feel so comfortable with that. But it's cool. I think that you changed your mind and you were like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. I didn't. And then I did.
I think it's such a testament to growing up. I feel like, I feel like this is one of those like sitcoms where they reunite the cast and then you hear all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I was only 14 years old when I was in the role of whatever. And now there's the old folks. So I'm curious about I know this is just the beginning of many conversations to come, I hope and I wish, but I'm curious about what has it been like being together like this and going down memory lane for a bit.
Feels like just yesterday we were sitting in my office and y'all are just right there.
Yeah, it really does.
Here I am at my desk and I've got y'all on the screen right here. Valerie, you're in this chair and
yes.
There's only 2 chairs in my office. If there was a third person, they had to stand. Or bring their chair in. I bet we
bring their chair in.
Where we brought some chairs in.
Like, come on in. Scoot over.
I think it's a testament to how what a deep, intense relationship we had.
And so
much. It's like yesterday.
Yeah.
We had so much fun.
It was fun.
So much fun.
So much fun.
It does feel like it was yesterday. And just, I don't know, there's something really special about you guys knew me at this time in my life. And we've all stayed, somewhat connected now. So that's really special. So, and not many people knew me at that time. Like you have your college friends and then kind of now your group now, but they don't, they didn't see me then. So then to now. So it's very
that
special.
transition. Yeah, it hasn't felt like it's been 20 years since we've spoken. I think, Lucinda, you and I have had a phone call maybe.
I think I did your podcast. I did your podcast with Patty early on.
Huh?
Did we not? Yes. I feel like I've already been on your podcast before.
You have?
Maybe.
I remember
I think
with Patty.
I think when I was interviewing Patty, you were, because at the time, one of my first podcast, I would invite a guest and then others would come and watch live. And I think that's all it was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a little different format, but yes.
It was a different format. And there was someone else there. And I can't remember who it was, but I remember getting to see Patty.
Yes. That was probably like 3-4 years ago, 3 years or so. It's been interesting because like I said, when I was leading up to this conversation, to the fact that we were all going to be together, all these little like memories started kind of bubbling up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember that. And like I mentioned, the whole Dallas Cowboy thing. Did you dance with them, or why do I have this memory? I remember you were a dancer.
I was a finalist and made the training camp candidate. Yeah, but then it was actually Patty that she's like, I don't think this is a good idea, because I think she thought, she was, I think, for her to have that intuition that was really good, because she's like, you have all this other stuff that I'm worried that this is going to take you down this path, and that's, people are only going to see you that way, which is fine. Anyway, but she kind of said, she was afraid that it was going to get in the way of me pursuing other things in my career. So she was kind of like, I don't know if this is such a great. And she's like, I know that, they after make the team and whatever, then they can go off and pursue other things. But I think she saw that it might take me away from some things that were really important to me. Like it may have impacted my relationship with Rob or whatever. So I think she was like, I don't know if this is like, it was going to derail something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably would have.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it would have? For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have we have a few extra minutes. So I'm curious, what questions do you have? I feel like I've been kind of driving the conversation, but what questions, now that we've had all these different aspects of our life bubble up to the surface, what questions do you have that you'd like to discuss or bring up?
What's one of your favorite memories from then? I have so many questions, but yeah.
I wouldn't say that there was a particular moment. There were a lot of moments, I think, that we all shared, but I like the spirit.
Yeah.
Work has always meant a lot to me. Like, I always feel like work has been an outlet for my creativity and my passion and my values. So I hold work to a high esteem. And the fact that I got to do work that was meaningful with the two of you who also who brought that level of seriousness, because we did good work.
We did.
We worked incredibly hard, and we worked really well, and we cared about the work we did. My favorite memory was just how much one could care about work in a professional setting and still have relationship and still have closeness and still have laughter. That's my favorite. The culture and the spirit that we brought to the space. And by the way, this is just, maybe I'm partial, but there were places down the hall from us that didn't have that lightness and sparkle.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
So those
Yeah.
are my favorite memories, were just being with you guys and doing good work and having so much fun.
Thanks to Patty for bringing us together.
Yes.
And being the head of that spirit of that department.
Yes.
Yeah, we had the best department.
We did.
Others might disagree, but they're wrong.
Yeah, we were
Everybody doing good work. I feel like
Yes,
without
totally.
saying, but
Yes. But we had the best department.
we did.
We're not going to tell anybody that.
No. They're not gonna see this on
We're not going to see that.
if they make it this far,
right.
Like,
Yeah.
wait.
Lucinda, what about you? Any questions that you like?
Well, I think we answered all my questions that I was writing down.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to hear more about your relationship.
Yeah.
I'd like to, let me, put on my therapist. No, I'm just going to hear about your relationship, but maybe that's for a time when we,
that's when you come down to Dallas and we go to lunch or dinner or something, and we can all sit around and chat. Because yes, I would love to.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes.
I'll come.
I'll
come, and I will message y'all to make sure that it's a good time.
Perfect. So the last guest asked, what do you guys hope to get out of this conversation? So looking back at when we first started to where we are now, what did you want to get out of it, and what did you get out of it?
I wanted to connect with y'all, but I think now it's making me remember who I was then. And it feels really good. I mean, I feel good now, but it also feels good to think back about who I was then too.
Same.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Ditto to that too. I don't know. And how much, I think it's a reflection of how much we've grown.
Yes.
That's as I've been listening to all of our stories, and also how much we've stayed the same in so many ways. Right. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting.
So what question, if I'm to pose another question to guests that are coming in the next episode of this podcast, what question should I ask them?
Something that came up to me was, if they knew each other from a earlier time when they were younger, and they've now seen the growth to today, what advice would they give to their younger self? Knowing
I love that question. I love that question. That's good.
What advice would you give your younger self? Got it. Lucinda, do you have a question?
I want to hear what people think the best advice they ever received was. Love that question.
Good question.
Okay. Best advice you've ever received. Love it. Okay. And then the last thing is for those that were listening and watching the podcast, what's something that you would invite them to do or challenge them to do as a result of your experience here today?
Do you want to go first, Whitney?
Well, to take the time to reconnect. Everybody's busy, and I mean, time goes by so fast. And there's anything that the pandemic really taught me is just to focus on being present and taking the time to reconnect. So that would be the number one thing is, when that thought pops up, just do it.
Call.
Yeah, call.
Yes, just do it. Yeah.
Just do it because life keeps going, and you don't want to look back and lose you don't want to lose that connection. So just do it.
Just do it. When the thought of the person comes up, call them, text them, reach out.
Reconnect. Okay. Life's too short. Yeah.
Life's too short. And you kind of need somebody like Valerie to make it happen. I feel like I have a few groups like this. Like I've got a friend group from high school, and we've got one girl, Ruth, one friend, and she makes sure that we have dinner like at least once a month. Oh, and if she doesn't do it, it doesn't get done. And we always enjoy being together. And then I've got another group, and she this is from like my friends from right before I went to Dallas, and we're still really, really close. And one of the friends got us to get on Marco Polo. And this is
the video thing.
Yeah, I used to with my college friends. Yeah,
we feel like we see each other every day. We don't, and we are the closer than we've ever been. And we laugh. And we have these, it's like texting, but it's on video, and you get to see each other's faces. And that's been really fun. And that was my other friend who made that happen. Anyway.
So bringing, there's always somebody that needs to bring the people together. Yes, I do play that role in a lot of lives.
Thank you, Valerie.
You're welcome. I love it. And I do it for myself more than to bring in the people together, because I so enjoy the connection and honor that so deeply that I just can't help myself. This is what happens when I'm like, oh, Lucinda, we should definitely talk to Whitney. Whitney, you need to be on. So it's like instinctive for me. So this is beautiful. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
So I'm so happy that we did this and that you both said yes. I'm always so grateful to have meaningful relationships and conversations, not just because of the podcast, but this is a significant part of my life that you both walked into and had a significant impact on how I think and how I look at the world. And my expectations from the world of work came from, a lot of it came from the chamber. That was my first like corporate experience. And where so many people think that corporate is like, oh, it's a bad thing, and there's all this negative connotation to being a corporate person. I would dare say that I learned a lot from although it was nonprofit, we worked with corporations. So, and it was a corporate like environment. And even moving into Hyatt, that was what I was looking for. I was looking for that feel, for that spirit. And those are any yes I gave professionally came because I was modeling what I experienced at the chamber. I'm like, oh yeah, this fits, or yeah, that's not for me. So thank you both so much for gifting me that.
Oh, this has been so fun. And I'm so proud of you, Valerie, for this, for your coaching and your podcast.
Thank you.
And you too, Whitney.
Out there to go for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
For putting yourself out there to go for it, to be an entrepreneur and do your own thing. And that took courage
thank you
to go for it.
Still going for it. Bringing y'all along for the ride. So cool. So we know that there's going to be an off-camera conversation and hopefully meeting in person.
Yes.
That's now that we've geared ourselves up to. So there's a lot more to come. So thank you to so much again for being on this podcast. I know that obviously those of you who worked with us, who know of us, who watched us. And if you got this far, thank you too, because without you all, like Patty, shout out to Patty for creating this wonderful motley crew of heartfelt and heart-led people, much beloved and respected, just like you, Patty. So if you're watching this, thank you for that. And anyone else that worked with us, whether it's in the community or in the chamber, the role that you all played, I'm sure it was really magical and important too. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of Not Quite Strangers. Don't forget to follow us, like us, favorite us in your podcast platform so that you don't miss any other episodes. And have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone. Thank you, Lucinda. Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to the podcast Not Quite Strangers. Be sure to subscribe or follow on your favorite video or podcast platform. And for more information and content, go to notquitestrangers.com. See you next time.